You know, I've lived more than 60 years on this earth. 60 years of watching people come and go, the successful, the lost, the happy, and those who just drift through life, unsure of what they're even living for. And there's one thing I've realized, something I believe you've probably felt too. We're not afraid of change, we're afraid of losing the feeling of being safe. I once had a friend named Michael. Michael was the kind of person everyone would call stable. He worked at the same company for 30 years, paid off his house, drove an old but reliable car, and followed a steady routine: morning coffee, work, dinner, television. One day I asked him, "Are you happy, Michael?" He was silent for a long time, then said, "I don't know, but at least I feel safe." That sentence stayed with me for years, because I realized sometimes the feeling of being safe is actually the wall that separates us from the life we were meant to live. Have you ever felt that way? Like you're living in a comfort zone where everything feels familiar, easy, maybe even pleasant, but somehow lifeless. It's like being in a softly lit room where the windows are locked tight, the air is stale, and you can't remember the last time you took a full breath of freedom. I've met so many people, especially those in midlife, who tell me they're fine, but when I look into their eyes, I see something else: regret. Not because they have nothing, but because they've lost something far more precious: the ability to dream. And that's why I want to talk to you today about 18 lessons I've learned after decades of working with, observing, and walking alongside hundreds of people who dared to step beyond their comfort zone to rediscover the real meaning of life. Before we begin, I want you to imagine this. You're standing on a bridge. On the other side lies the life you've always wanted, a life where you feel free, fulfilled, and alive. But between the two sides, there's a gap. That gap is fear. Fear of failing, fear of being judged, fear of losing what you already have. And the saddest truth is this: most people turn back because they never find the courage to take that first step. I want you to understand something. Safety isn't bad, but staying too safe for too long will slowly make you forget how to grow. Just like a muscle that weakens when it's never challenged, the human spirit fades when it's never stretched. I once read a study from Stanford University that said, "The human brain is wired to seek the familiar, but it only grows when exposed to the unknown." That means every real breakthrough in life, in career, relationships, or the soul, always begins with a moment of discomfort. And I get it. At our age, change isn't as simple as it was when we were young. When you're 50, 55, or 60, you're not just thinking about yourself anymore. You have a family, responsibilities, memories, and fears that run deep. But you know what? That's exactly why your change matters more than ever. A friend of mine, a 58-year-old woman named Karen, once told me, "I thought my life was over when my kids grew up and left home. But it turns out that's when I finally started living." She started painting. She opened a YouTube channel to share her story, and she said she'd never felt more free in her entire life. Not because everything suddenly became perfect, but because she dared to step outside her comfort zone. And I truly believe you can do that too. No matter your age, your situation, or your past, as long as you're breathing, you can still change. Life doesn't wait for anyone. Every day that passes, your comfort zone shrinks just a little, and the world outside it grows a little bigger. If you don't move forward one day, you'll look back and realize you've missed an entire lifetime just trying to feel safe. Here's the truth. Nothing is ever truly safe. Your job can disappear. Your health can change. Relationships that seemed unbreakable can fade. So, if everything can change anyway, why not choose to change on your own terms? That's the spirit of this video. I'm not here to tell you to be reckless or to throw everything away. I just want you to place your hand over your heart and ask yourself, am I really living true to myself? Or am I just repeating yesterday and calling it a life? Because sometimes the real cost of staying still is losing the chance to live fully. When I was younger, I used to think success meant having money, status, or recognition. But now I know true success is having the courage to live as who you really are and to change when your soul whispers that it's time. So today, I want to invite you on a journey through 18 lessons, not empty theories, but small, honest truths that life has whispered to me through joy, loss, and fear. Maybe as you listen, you'll see yourself in some of these stories. Maybe you'll smile, or fall silent, or think deeply for a while. But I promise you this, once you start asking questions, it means you've already started to change. So take a seat, don't rush, take a deep breath, and if you can let yourself step outside your comfort zone for just a few minutes. Because maybe, just maybe, that's the beginning of the change you've been waiting for. 1. Comfort is not happiness. You know, there are days when I sit on my porch watching the sunset spread across the grass, and I think once upon a time I dreamed of being here peaceful, free from pressure. But then I realized that peace wasn't nurturing me. It was slowing me down. Comfort feels good, but over time, it dulls your drive to live. It's like sitting too long in a soft chair. You forget that your legs were made to walk. 2. Every change begins with discomfort. I once heard a scientist say, growth always comes with inconvenience. Just as muscles must ache to become stronger, the soul must endure discomfort to grow. So if life feels messy, heavy, or chaotic right now, smile a little, because that might not be a sign that you're lost, but that you're changing. 3. Fear doesn't mean you're weak. A friend once told me, I'm afraid of failing, so I never start. I told him, no one stops being afraid. The difference is, the brave ones act even while scared. Fear is natural, but to live a meaningful life, you have to learn to take fear by the hand and walk with it. 4. No one is ever truly ready. I used to wait for the perfect moment to do what I loved, but that day never came. We don't grow because we're ready. We grow because we start before we're ready. You'll only know what you're capable of once you begin. 5. Failure is the mark of someone truly alive. I remember the first time I failed big in my career. I lost everything. For a long time, I felt ashamed, but later, I realized only those who truly live have the chance to fail. Those who do nothing never fail, but they never grow either. Failure doesn't define you. It just reflects the path you're walking. 6. Learn to begin again. I once met a 67-year-old man learning guitar for the first time. He smiled and said, I know I'll never be a musician, but I just want to remember what it feels like to love something again. And just a few months later, he played his favorite song for his wife. Sometimes starting again isn't about achievement. It's about reminding yourself that you're still alive. 7. Stay curious. When we were young, we asked why all the time. But as we grow older, we fear questions because they lead us to uncertainty. Yet curiosity lets you see the world with fresh eyes. You're never too old to learn to explore or to be amazed by something small. 8. You don't have to know all the answers. Life isn't an exam. It's a long conversation. Many people spend their whole lives searching for the right answer when what they really need is to enjoy the journey of asking. Trust that each uncertain step still leads you somewhere you need to be. 9. Comparison is the thief of joy. At 50 or 60, it's easy to look around and feel behind. But my friend, the only race worth running is the one with yourself. Happiness isn't about moving faster than others. It's about moving true to your own direction. 10. Gratitude is the most powerful medicine. Once a terminal cancer patient told me, I don't know how much time I have left, but every morning I open my eyes and say, thank you, I'm still here. I've never forgotten that. Because gratitude, not just in good times, but in the hard ones, teaches you to see light even in the dark. 11. You can't control everything. I spent years trying to control my life, my work, my family, my future. But the more I tried, the less peace I had. Because life isn't meant to be controlled, it's meant to be experienced. When you learn to let go, you don't lose control, you gain trust. 12. Time doesn't heal, it teaches acceptance. Some pain never truly goes away, loss, regret, or separation. But over time, we learn to live with it and let it soften our hearts. That's how we grow, not by forgetting, but by understanding. 13. Love is the only reason worth starting over. A woman once told me I learned to forgive, not because they deserved it, but because I wanted to be free. That's the power of love. Not romantic love, but the kindness and compassion you give to yourself and others. Because in the end, every true change begins with the heart. 14. Learn to say no. We're taught to please others, but saying no is also a form of love. When you refuse what drains you, you're saying yes to your peace and self-respect. Remember, you can't pour from an empty cup. 15. The body is the home of the soul. You can have all the money in the world, but if your body is exhausted, you can't enjoy any of it. Just walking 20 minutes, sleeping enough, or eating mindfully, that's how you tell yourself, I still matter. Health isn't just physical, it's the foundation for everything else. 16. Silence is strength. In this noisy world, those who can listen are the strongest. If you spend just 10 minutes a day breathing and being still, you'll notice things that noise could never teach you. Sometimes the answers you seek live in the quiet space between two breaths. 17. Dare to live authentically. Many people wear masks all their lives, pretending to be fine, pretending to please. But honesty is what truly connects us. When you dare to say, "I'm not okay," you give others permission to be real too. Living truthfully isn't easy, but it's the most beautiful kind of freedom. 18. It's never too late. I once knew an 82-year-old man who started journaling. He said, "I don't write to remember. I write so I don't forget that I've lived." That sentence touched me deeply. Because it's true, it's never too late to change, to start again, or to fall back in love with your own life. Every lesson I've shared isn't theory. It's a scar that turned into wisdom. And I want you to remember this. Life never waits for you to be ready. It only waits to see if you're brave enough to step out of your comfort zone and choose to truly live, even just for today. You know, when I look back on my life, I've realized that life isn't truly measured by the number of years we live, but by the moments when we dare to change. Not at 30, not at retirement, but at the moment you say, "I'm going to live differently, even just a little." Maybe that was the day you finally walked away from a relationship that was breaking you. Or the day you tried something everyone said was too late. Or maybe it was simply this morning when you woke up an hour earlier, went for a walk, and watched the sunrise. Those are the moments that change your life. I've met so many people in their 50s and 60s who tell me, "I wish I had started sooner." And I often smile and gently reply, "That's okay. Today is still early if you start right now." We can't go back to change our beginnings, but we can always start today to rewrite our ending. I used to believe that change had to be something big, like quitting a job, moving to a new city, or doing something grand. But over the years, I've learned that real change starts from the smallest things. A new thought, a new habit, a small decision to stop living the same old way. It's like a gentle wind. You can't see it, but over time it can change the direction of a sail. I want you to imagine this. If tomorrow you wake up and look at life from a new perspective, instead of asking, "What do I have to lose?" you ask, "What do I have to learn?" You'll notice everything in your life start to move. Because change does not begin with circumstances. It begins inside, with how we choose to see the world. Do you remember the last time you truly felt alive? Not when you were working or paying bills, but when you laughed, when you felt your breath, when you did something no one told you to simply because you wanted to. If it's been a long time since you felt that way, then maybe it's time to step out of your comfort zone. I know sometimes comfort feels like a warm blanket on a cold day. It's hard to let go, but you can't see the sunrise if you keep hiding in the dark. And you'll never find your best self if you don't dare to leave the place where you're stuck. I used to fear change many times, but then I learned something. Change doesn't take away your safety. It takes away your numbness, because safety isn't always good. Sometimes it's the golden cage that makes you forget you have wings. Once during a talk with a group of people about to retire, a man asked me, "How can I still feel useful when I no longer have my job?" And I said, "Become a student of life again." Because when you keep learning, when you stay curious, you never really grow old. Age changes your body, but your soul only ages when you stop exploring. You know, I used to think success was about status or wealth, but now I see that true success is being able to live without pretending. It's looking in the mirror and saying, "I'm living a life I chose. Not perfect, but real. Not grand, but meaningful." People often ask me, if you could give just one last piece of advice, what would it be? And I think I'd say this: don't let safety steal your life, because you only live once. And it would be such a shame if that one life was spent locked inside a box of fear. Fail, try, make mistakes, but don't stand still, because standing still, that's the real failure. You know, I once watched a friend climb a mountain when he was over 70. I asked him, "Aren't you afraid of falling?" He smiled and said, "Of course I'm afraid, but I'm more afraid of sitting here watching the mountain and wondering, what if I tried?" That sentence has stayed with me for years, because life doesn't reward those who play it safe. It opens up for those who dare to try. Remember this: no one will knock on your door and say, "Here's the opportunity that will change your life. Come on in, Nome." Opportunities don't arrive, they are created. Through every small step, every daily choice, every act of quiet courage. You don't need to know everything. You just need to start. Start reading a new book. Start learning a new skill. Start saying, "I'll give it a try." And if you fall, remember, falling isn't failure. Falling is part of learning how to stand tall. No road to freedom is without scars. But those scars are proof that you've truly lived. If you're watching this video and a small voice inside asks, "Can I really change?" then trust me, that's already a sign that you're ready. Because the people who never ask that question are usually the ones who gave up long ago. Today, I don't want you to promise me anything. I just want you to promise yourself this, that you'll live one more day stepping a little further outside your comfort zone. Just a little. Maybe it's saying something kind to someone you never dared to. Maybe it's dusting off an old dream and starting again. Or maybe it's just looking in the mirror and saying, I still have time, and I still can. You don't have to change the world. You just have to change the way you see yourself. Because once you do that, the world around you begins to change too. And if this video touched your heart, leave me a comment below. Tell me what's the thing that scares you most about change. I truly want to hear your story. And if you found these words meaningful, click subscribe and like. Not just to support this channel, but to remind yourself that you are not alone on this journey of change. Life doesn't reward those who play it safe. It rewards those who dare to be true to themselves. So don't fear change. Fear never changing. Because safety won't save you, but living will.